Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Dennis Brown. Thank you for joining me on my Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. I do these lives every Monday at noon. And I want to say welcome to my replay, folks. If you're hitting me on replay, hashtag replay. If you're live, that's awesome too. Hit me up in the comments in the city and state with the city and state you're logging in from. And I'll try to give you some shout outs. But today we have a very different kind of training. I'm going to tell you a real life true story when I was running my freight brokerage and the shocking truth behind how I lost a $1 million plus client. Yep. 100% true. I hate reliving this story. I hate telling this story. It creates anxiety and stress and nauseous. I'm nauseous trying to tell the story. It's very emotional because it was very early in my brokerage, and there were some really powerful lessons that came from it. So I'm going to tell you the story. Then we're going to give you some lessons on how you can prevent this from happening to you as a broker or an agent. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. Here's the agenda. We're going to do some shout outs to people that hit me up in the comments. We're going to do the training. We're going to tell the story, and I'm going to share those 3 lessons. Then we're going to jump into live Q&A. All right. So if you stick around to the end and you have questions about anything we talk about today, or freight broker sales or freight broker operations or startup or marketing or, agents or whatever it is you have questions about, whatever's on your mind, you can give me the question at the end. I will do my absolute best to try to answer your question here live today, Monday, April 22nd. So that's where we're at, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's do some shout outs real quick while we let some people get live. We have Cynthia Moore from Maryland, as usual. Robert, thank you for joining. Samara Trucking from Ashroff, from New York City. Bellin from Amarillo, Texas. Robert from Kansas City, Missouri. Kevin from Raleigh. Eclectic Rose from Colorado. Awesome. Tanya from Memphis, Tennessee. Michael 46 from Orlando. Patricia from El Campo, Texas. Shaka Robinson from Hope Mills, North Carolina. We got Ula Madzir from Belarus. Corey from Billings, Montana. I see a lot of the same names and faces week after week after week. If you're brand new and this is the first time you've ever made the live, hit me up. Let me know that you're a first timer, first time you've ever made this live training. I'd love to give you a shout out if we have time. We have Daniel from Las Vegas, Tiffany from Houston, Texas. So a lot of people joining all over the country, even in other countries. As you see, we get people from South America, we get people from Mexico, we get people from Eastern Europe and Australia and all over the place, the UK. So yeah, I'm excited that you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. And today, even though this is a painful story to tell, I'm excited to share it with you in some ways because I think there's some very, very important lessons that you can learn, okay, to help you along in your journey. If my mistakes can help you, then that's a win-win, right? Okay, so awesome. All right, so where we at? All right, so about 1 more minute, then we're going to jump into the training. Welcome, Gozal Inc. from Cincinnati. Welcome, Summer from Charlotte, North Carolina. Shay from Houston, Texas. Lima FX, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me grab a quick drink. As you can see, got a lot of notes, 2 pages of notes that I got to go over. I just want to make sure I cover this thoroughly because this is a really, really, this training, this session could literally make or break your business. This could be the difference between you earning an additional $1 million in sales or losing $1 million in sales. It literally could be that powerful. So I want you to lean in. I want you to take some notes. I want you to pay attention. But before we get started, if you're excited about this, if you're happy that you're here, if you want me to do this training, and it's absolutely free, hit the like button no matter where you're at and share the stream. Let other people know. Let your friends, family, other people on your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever you want to share it with them. Let people know. That's how most people find out about us, is word of mouth. We appreciate you sharing the stream, sharing what we do here every Monday with these free Freight Broker bootcamp live trainings. So, all right. All right, guys, let me grab a drink and then we're going to get the show on the road. All right. So today I'm going to share with you the shocking truth of how I lost a $1 million client. Yes, it's a painful story. Yes, my heart aches every time I have to tell this story, but I think there are some very important lessons in here for you. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share with you 3 lessons that you can learn to prevent this from happening to you. Okay? So lean in. I'm going to quickly go through the story, then we're going to talk about the lessons. So I think it's 2006, sometime during 2006. I walk into my office. It's very early morning. The office is still dark. I put the key in the door. I open up my office door and it's very dark in there, but I see a red flashing light on my phone, which you know what that means. That means there's a voicemail there. So I settle into my desk. I sit down. I kind of get things organized and I hit the red button and the message comes on and the message says, "Hey, Dennis, this is Mary from XYZ. I'm just returning your call that you made to Mike yesterday. I wanted to let you know that Mike is no longer with the company." Whew. My head starts spinning. My stomach begins to ache. I start feeling nauseous right away because Mike had never given me any indication that there was a problem or that he was leaving voluntarily or otherwise. So I'm shocked, to say the least. Okay. And she went on to say, I wanted to let you know that we appreciate your help over the last 6 months, but we're no longer going to be needing your services. Now, understand something. This doesn't have anything to do with you personally or anything you did wrong. It just changes inside of our internal business processes. So while that made me feel a little bit better that I didn't drop the ball, I was still shocked. I was still kind of confused as to what was going on. So let me put this into context so you understand the full ramifications of this, okay? Over the previous 6 months, I had turned this shipper from 1 load a week into 10 to 20 loads a week, okay? I had 20x'd the volume that we were doing on that shipper in a very short period of time, 6 months. And if you added up that annual revenue, it would have far exceeded $1 million in sales. So that's part of the reason why this is such an emotional story and such an important lesson. Okay. So I want to share with you 3 lessons that you can learn from me in this story to help prevent this happening to you. Okay. So lean in. Lesson number 1. Okay. This is you absolutely positively have to keep your sales funnel filled even when things are going good. Even when you're knocking the cover off the ball, sales are growing, customers are happy, you're making money, everything is going well. You have to continue to keep your sales funnel filled. You have to continue to prospect. You have to continue to do the things that got you into the dance, that got you there. Okay. Don't forget what got you there. Okay. That's number 1. Very, very important. Number 2, and lean in on this one. This might be the most important lesson that you can hear as it relates to this story. Okay. When you get a customer, when you bring on a new customer, over the first 3 to 6 months, one of your primary goals and jobs, beyond just growing that account and servicing that account at a very high level, is you need to develop relationships with at least 3 different tiers within that organization. Now, what do I mean by that? That means you have kind of the doer level, and then you have the manager level, and then you have kind of the director and VP level within that organization. Your goal is to develop a relationship with at least 3 people in that organization. And the reason why you want to do that is because it is going to help you in situations like this, where there are changes within the organization. Because the fact of the matter is, things are going to happen. people are going to turn over. There are going to be service problems. There are going to be challenges in their business. And the more relationships you have within that organization, the more likely you will be to be able to retain that customer. Okay. Because you have the person you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day, then you're going to have other people that you're going to deal with occasionally, maybe monthly or quarterly. And then you're going to have other people that you may never have to deal with in order to facilitate all their needs. But if you have the relationship with those three tiers, if they know and like and trust you, you can make a call. And in many cases, that's going to allow you to retain that client. Unfortunately, I did not have three contacts. I had one primary contact in the story that I just told with you, and his name was Mike. And when he turned over, I lost the entire account. Okay. So number three, when you don't feel like prospecting, because there are days you are going to walk into the office and there are going to be days when you don't feel like prospecting because maybe you're under the weather, maybe you had an argument with your wife, or maybe you've heard a lot of no's and gotten a lot of rejection. There are going to be days when you don't want to prospect. Here's what I want you to remember. I want you to remember my story. And I want you to remember that you're only one voicemail away from losing your biggest customer. So I want you to close your eyes for 5 seconds and I want you to visualize walking into your office and that voicemail light is ringing or is blinking, and you click on the voicemail and it says, "Hey Dennis, sorry to tell you it's over." Right? So imagine how your stomach is going to feel. If you don't have anxiety right now about losing your biggest customer, if you can't visualize that and use that as fuel to push you into prospecting mode to continue to keep your funnel filled, I don't know what will. Okay. So that's my story. Those are the three lessons. And listen, if you're looking for some help in freight broker sales, you're looking for some help with getting shippers and retaining shippers and developing shippers. Okay. Check out my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's a 5-week coaching program where I take that piece of my brain, I transplant it into your head, and I teach you all my best freight broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, and my entire system, right? So you can get on the wait list at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Okay. That's where you can get on the list. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Now, if you're just getting started and you're looking to become a broker or agent and you're the early stages of startup and you need some help, you can check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That is my startup program. That's an online course you can access 24/7, 365 with full support. We've trained over 10,000 students through that program, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So make sure you check out Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Make sure you check out the bootcamp. Appreciate you being here. Hit the like button. Ask me a question in the comments, and I will make sure that we can get back to you during the Q&A. So have an awesome day. Appreciate you being here. All right, cool. So for those of you that are going to stick around for the Q&A, all right, before you start typing your questions, hold the questions really quick, because I know I can tell some of you are already typing. Okay, hold tight on your questions. We are going to do Q&A. Okay, but hold tight on your questions. What I want you to do is I want you to answer a question from me first. Okay, now this story, okay, that I just shared with you, which of those three lessons do you believe is the most important and most valuable to preventing this from happening to you? Which one of those, right? 1, 2, 3, or other. Maybe there's another lesson that you were able to pull from this that will help you prevent you from losing your biggest client. Hit me up in the comments and let me know what your thoughts are on that. And then after we do a little bit of this, we're going to jump into live Q&A. Okay. Hold your questions though. I want you to hit me up in the comments and let me know which one of these you believe is the most valuable to you. Don't be shy, people. I see a lot of you are on YouTube. Some of you are on LinkedIn. Some of you are on Facebook. No matter where you're at, hit me up in the comments and let me know. Lima FX says, keep your sales funnel open. Keep your sales funnel full. Tanya says, developing multiple relationships. Yes. Yes. Balance says constantly prospecting. I think it's the most important. William Madzir says you need to continue to prospect. Yes, 100%. If you want my opinion, all three of these are extremely important, extremely valuable. But the one I can tell you, and in general, when it comes to sales and preventing, losing revenue or your revenue going down, keeping your funnel filled is probably the most important. When it comes to retaining clients, meaning customer retention and development of those clients from 1 load to 10 loads to 50 loads, right, a month, where you're developing those clients and continuing and enhancing those relationships, I think number 2 is extremely powerful. You cannot underestimate the power of having multiple relationships within multiple layers of the organization. Again, director, VP level, kind of the shipping manager level, maybe the load planner. Those are 3 examples of different people that you'd love to have and are important to have personal relationships with. I don't mean just where you meet them once. I mean where you have ongoing relationship building. Now, you're not going to be calling the director or the VP every day. That's not going to happen. But you should be trying to reach out to them once every 1, 2, 3 months and continue to enhance that relationship. You're going to have the people you're going to deal with day to day. You're going to have other people you're going to deal with occasionally, and you're going to have people that you may never have to deal with, but you should continue to develop those relationships. Okay. That's probably the most important customer retention and, sales building tool that you can have once you're inside of an organization, you start doing business with them. So awesome. Okay. All right, cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the training. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and share the stream. If you have questions about this training, about Freight Broker Startup, Freight Broker Sales, whatever it is, the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, my Freight Broker Bootcamp Startup Program, whatever it is, if you have questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll do my absolute best to try to answer those questions. Here's what I know for sure. I will not get to all your questions today. I never do. Unfortunately, there's just always more questions than there are time. I'll try to get to as many as I can today. And if I can't get to your questions, I will do my absolute best to try to come back into the comments and try to answer them later on. Okay. So hit me up, questions in the chat box, and we will get the show on the road. And then we will try to wrap this up so you guys can get back to work, start making some money. All right. What do we got, peeps? Q&A. If there's no questions, I'm going to let you guys go, right? Because I have a whole list of stuff to do today. I'm sure you do too. And it's okay if you don't have questions. Don't come up with questions that you don't really have just to try to waste your time or mine. But if you do have questions, you got about another minute to get them in here so that I can answer those questions and then we can all go on with our day. Let's see what we got. Any questions yet? Don't see any. So maybe there's either a tech issue or people are just shy today. Let me see what's going on here. Is there a tech issue? I don't think so. All right. So you've got 60 seconds to get your questions in here, and then I'm going to bail. Okay. All right. So we got first question. Illumin Zero asks, hey, Dennis, at the moment I'm prospecting in frozen and refrigerated foods, but I feel that it's hard to find enough potential leads among those participating in biddings. So I'm thinking about prospecting in heavy haul. What do you think about it? Well, I'm a big believer in riches are in niches. So I like to hear that you're niche down. Okay. I don't know the size of your business. I don't know how long you've been doing this. I don't know how many customers you have. I don't know what your funnel looks like, your sales funnel looks like from refrigerated. Doesn't sound like it's very robust. And I'm not quite sure what you mean by participating in bidding. I'm not a big bid guy, right? I'm much more of a develop a relationship with the prospect and then do quotes that are specific to whatever their needs are in the spot market. Annual bids are, in a lot of cases, particularly now, are almost a waste of time. You do have to do them sometimes, but I think the spot market is a much better place for us to be, right? As brokers, it's much more realistic. So because you don't control the buy and sell of trucks, right? Of truck of per mile rate. So here's what I'm going to say to you. I like that you're niche down. I'd like to see you stay focused in that niche. If you're getting some good if you've already gotten some good traction. If you are not getting any traction, I'd find out what are the top 2 or 3 reasons why you think you're not getting that. I know you mentioned one, because you don't have enough leads that are participating in bidding. I'm not sure that bidding is the key, right? I don't know what your sales process looks like. But if you're not getting the results you're looking for, diversifying into another niche or trying another niche, if you're a startup, is not a bad thing, right? But I don't want you to bounce from niche to niche to niche to niche just because you're not getting the results. I think the bigger problem usually is not the niche, it's the process. It's not the niche, it's the strategy. It's not the niche, it's the fact that you haven't optimized your sales process, right? Maybe your cold call is off. Maybe you sound like everybody else. Maybe you're not, maybe you're not talking to the right people. Maybe there's a variety of things that can go wrong there in that sales process. Maybe you don't know how to handle objections properly. So, I don't mind going into other niches. This is a long answer, but I'm trying to frame it for you in such a way that it has value for you and the audience. As far as heavy haul, going into a heavy haul niche, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you don't have a fair amount of experience in heavy haul, or you haven't taken a lot of time to study heavy haul, or you don't have a carrier base that can really help you, that you have a strong relationship in with heavy haul, I would be very, very careful using that as a startup niche, right? If you're brand new, going into heavy haul can be very challenging because it has a whole different level of complexity compared to refrigerated or even flatbed or even particularly van, right? So I like, as you grow in business, I like adding some complexity. I like trying to find complex problems because I think it allows you to stand out, and it obviously eliminates some of the crowd, some of the competition. But as a startup, be very careful with just joining or jumping into the heavy haul space because it is a lot more nuanced. There's a lot of things that can go wrong there. Okay. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it frames it in such a way that you can get some value out of it. All right. Question from Robert. I'm finding a lot of trainings for finding freight shippers. How do I find drivers and what to look for or look out for? Okay. So finding carriers, if you're a startup broker or a startup agent, most of your carriers are going to come from load boards. Okay. Because the carriers that you are going to be using are specific to the shippers that you are prospecting. So what I mean by that is this. Some people think it's best to go out and get a bunch of carriers on board and then try to find customers that you can use, that you can place those loads into those carriers. But in a lot of cases, that doesn't work because carriers have specific types of equipment and specific lanes and specific backhauls and specific needs, right? So I'm a big believer in finding the shipper first, identifying that shipper in the niche that you have, and then leveraging what their needs are to recruit and source carriers, whether that be through a load board or a directory or whatever, right? So that's usually how most startup brokers get their first carriers. But here's the cool part. Once you bring on a carrier, your goal is not to just use that carrier one time. You want to start reusing that carrier every time, as long as they did a good job on those specific types of equipment in those specific lanes or in areas where they need or want help. Okay. So your goal is not to bring on a new carrier every single time you move a load, but as a new broker, you have to develop relationships somewhere. And the most valuable relationships are the ones that can service your customer now. If I have a customer that moves Conestoga trailers out of California and all my shippers are in Florida, it's useless to have that relationship right now, right? I can't bring any value to them. They can't bring any value to me. But if I source some Conestoga trailers out of Florida based on load boards or load board history or, some online resources, now all of a sudden we can immediately start helping and benefiting one another. So I hope that helps. Now, load boards are going to be where they're going to start. And then you're going retain those relationships. Now, there's other ways you can develop carriers besides load boards. You can go on directories and you can call based upon where their home base is. If you're moving freight out of Chicago, you can call companies that are based out of Chicago. If you're moving freight into Florida, you can find companies that are based in Florida or run those lanes. So it really comes down to twofold: the load boards and then carrier sales, doing outreach to carriers based upon their specific type of equipment and or the specific lanes that they run. So, there's no real magic there. I think that people think that there's some sort of magic database where you can just find all the best carriers. The best carriers are the ones that have equipment available specific to your customer's needs that can deliver it at a cost effective and at a high level of service, right? So I hope that helps. Question from Michael 46. Hey, Dennis, currently have a customer that's been behind with our invoices for several months, consistently making late payments. How would you approach this annoying situation? Well, first of all, when you bring on a new customer, okay, and you establish credit, you move that first load and you invoice them. What you need to do when you invoice them, you need to reach out to them and you need to set the proper expectations. Number one, you need to make sure that you build them properly and that they have everything they need. Sometimes there are special documentations or special, pickup numbers and different things that they need in order to process the load. So you want to make sure that you did it properly. Number two, you need to set expectations with them and let them know what you expect in regards to payment. So that's number one. Number two, squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So if they're paying you late and they're paying you in 50 days or 45 days and you need to get paid in 30 or 35 days, you need to start ringing that bell sooner. You need to start calling them at 30 days, at 32 days, right? You need to call them a little earlier or email them a little earlier, communicate with them earlier, because again, the rule of thumb when it comes to getting paid is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you do have to be squeaky. And in most cases, if you are that squeaky wheel, you will be able to cut off 2, 3, 5, sometimes 10 days on their payment cycle just because you are there, because you are standing in line and you're reminding them that you need to be paid. So those are probably the two biggest things. The next thing is, here's what you have to understand. If they start getting beyond 60 days, here's what I'm going to tell you. I refuse to do business personally. And there may be opinions vary, mileage varies. I absolutely positively refuse to do business with any shipper that's going to pay me beyond 60 days. My goal is to get paid somewhere between 30 and 45 days. And that's the goal. But if they get to 60, in my personal opinion, they go on credit hold. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'm not a bank. Okay, I'm in a low margin, high volume business, and I have costs and cash flow is king. So here's what I can tell you. Don't entertain anybody that's doing business with you at 60 days. You have to be, it's going to scare the shit out of you the first time you have to put a customer on credit hold because you think you're going to lose the customer. And you may. But the reality is, if you have done those other things and they're still not paying you, there's an issue, right? There's an issue. And if they value what you're providing for them and they value the relationship, they will prioritize you in the payment scheme. Because again, trust me, they will stretch payment out as long as they possibly can. All right. So take a few of those tips. I hope that helps. All right. All right. Chandra, yes, you can catch this on replay. Yes, there will be a replay of this. You just come back on that link that you came in on, and there will be a full replay. Looking for some questions here. Just scrolling, so give me a minute. Okay, question from Luke. Hey, Dennis, what are your insights on bringing spot rates to drop trailer segments as we all see nowadays? Spot rates to drop trailer segments. Okay. So you are a broker and you want to do drop trailer, or a shipper wants drop trailer and you want to compete in that space. So there's only two ways you can do that, right? Number one, you either need to own trailers, which some brokers decide they want to invest in trailers, or you need to find a carrier that has a pool of trailers, or close proximity, maybe where they're going to do a drop and hook, right? A drop and hook is, they bring a trailer in, they pick a trailer up, they bring a trailer in, they pick a trailer up, and while they're gone, that other one gets filled and it's a drop and hook, right? Depending upon how many trailers they need. I think that you can work in the spot market on drop trailers. I'm processing it right now from the freight rate, right? Because you can establish what the cost of the trailer for dropping the trailer is. That's fairly fixed. That's not going to change too much in the spot market. What's going to change is the freight rate for moving it from point A to point B. So you may have to do a weekly rate, right? Or a short-term rate of some sort, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, give them some sort of a guarantee of 1 to 2 weeks on the spot market rate. But you can kind of fix the cost of the trailer on the longer term, or you can just build it all into one rate, depending upon how you want it or how the customer wants it, if they want to break it out. So yeah, I think you can do spot market drop trailer. Absolutely. Now, you're not, again, it's going to be as volatile with your customer as the rates are volatile. If the rates go up a bunch in 1 week to the next, well, then you're going to have to sell that value and explain why. If those rates go down and they're looking for a rate reduction, then you need to be prepared for that, right? So spot market creates a little bit more work, but it also protects you from losing money, right? On loads where, the market volatility can have an issue. So if you start doing spot markets with a 7 or 14 days, typically you're not going to run into a lot of problems. There are exceptions to that, but yeah, I think that's very possible. But make sure you dot all the I's, cross the T's. Okay. Good question. Thanks, Luke. Question from Kim. A factoring company would assist with the late payment issues. Yes, they will. They will for sure. But remember something. If you're working with a factoring company, right, and they're advancing the money to the carrier and they're waiting for the shipper to pay them, yes, they have some skin in the game. Yes, they want to get paid. Yes, they want to continue the relationship with you as the broker. The problem comes in is that most factoring companies are non-recourse, are recourse, which means that if the shipper doesn't pay them, it falls back on you, the broker, and they're going to charge you back. Very common, okay? There are recourse and non-recourse factoring. Now, what determines it? There's a lot more recourse factoring, meaning they want recourse to be able to go back to you and charge it. The rates are lower on recourse, and there are less non-recourse factoring, and the rates are higher, right? So it depends upon you, right? I don't have a problem with recourse factoring as long as you, the broker, are going to be willing to be the squeaky wheel, right? Yes, they are going to follow up on receivables, but when the factoring company, when you see a report and you see that the shipper is not paying the bill in a timely manner, you need to pick up that phone. You need to send that email. You need to talk to your contact, and you need to press the issue and become that squeaky wheel. Don't leave it exclusively on the factoring company, because again, they can shut credit off at any time and they can charge you back if they don't get paid. So hope that helps. All right, guys, good questions. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap it up for today. You had some really good questions. We don't have a lot of questions, which is fine. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, right? Make sure you share the stream. And if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Okay? All right, one more question came in. I don't want to skip this if I have a minute. Mike asks, hey, Dennis, I let my surety bond lapse. Do I need to start the whole restatement process from scratch or just pay for another bond? Your authority was, if you let the bond lapse, your authority was deactivated. You will not have to reapply or go through the application process, you can reactivate your authority. And so what you'll have to do, the first thing you're going to have to do is get that bond. And then the bonding company will reach out to the FMCSA and let them know that you now have a bond. And then you can communicate with the FMCSA about restatement, right? So the first thing, you'll get a bond, and then you'll focus and talk to them about reinstatement, because without the bond, it doesn't matter, right? So good question. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here. I hope you got value from my very painful story. If you did, make sure you like the stream, make sure you share, make sure you show up next Monday on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you soon.